For centuries, vampires believed they ruled the night, hidden, untouchable, eternal. They saw humanity as a herd, a resource to be managed and consumed. But they were wrong, because while they feasted and politicked in the shadows, humans were watching, learning, adapting, and preparing. This is the story of the Inquisition, the moment when humanity stopped being prey and started hunting the monsters. Before we dive into the fire and faith, make sure you subscribe to more vampires. Hit that like button and let me know your favorite hunter organization in the comments below. So, what exactly is the Inquisition in Vampire: The Masquerade? It's not just one event. It's humanity's organized, ongoing war against the undead. Think of it in two major phases. The First Inquisition, which took place in the medieval era, and the Second Inquisition, happening right now in the modern nights. Both share the same terrifying goal: to expose, hunt, and utterly destroy vampires. The difference lies in their methods. The first one relied on faith and fire. The second, it uses technology and data. The first was a crusade born of fear and superstition. The second is a surgical extermination campaign driven by cold, hard intelligence. And for the kindred, that's a far more frightening prospect. The days of hiding behind local folklore are long over. Today, every phone call, every credit card swipe, every security camera is a potential nail in a vampire's coffin. Let's travel back to the Middle Ages, the time of the First Inquisition. Picture a world shrouded in superstition. Plagues swept through cities, people vanished without a trace, and nobles grew pale and withdrawn. Humans didn't know about the Camarilla or the Sabbat, but they knew something unnatural was preying on them in the dark. The Church, being the central power of the era, responded with righteous fury. Witch hunts, heresy trials, and public executions became commonplace. They burned suspected monsters at the stake, believing they were cleansing the world of demonic influence. Many vampires, especially younger and less cautious ones, were caught in this inferno. They were destroyed not because humans understood what they were, but because a fearful, united mob is one of the most dangerous forces on Earth. This brutal campaign of fire and faith nearly shattered vampire society in Europe. It was a wake-up call that showed the kindred just how vulnerable they truly were. The First Inquisition taught vampires a lesson written in ash and blood. Exposure equals extinction. Before this, many vampires, particularly the ancient ones, were arrogant. They saw humans as little more than cattle. But when their havens burned and their children were dragged into the sunlight, they realized their immortality was fragile. In response, a council of vampire elders came together to form the Camarilla. Their primary goal was to enforce a strict code of secrecy, a set of laws that would become known as the Masquerade. The rules were simple but absolute: no feeding in public, no using supernatural powers in front of mortals, no leaving any evidence of their existence behind. The Masquerade wasn't just a tradition, it was a survival strategy born from sheer terror. It was an acknowledgement that their greatest strength wasn't their power, but their ability to remain a myth. For centuries, it worked. Vampires faded back into the stuff of legends, and humanity, for the most part, forgot. But the modern world changed everything. The 21st century brought with it an enemy far more relentless and omnipresent than any medieval crusader technology. We're talking about a global network of cameras, databases, satellites, and facial recognition software. This is the dawn of the Second Inquisition. It isn't an army of peasants with torches and pitchforks. It's a coalition of government agencies, intelligence services, and clandestine task forces, all armed with the tools of modern warfare and surveillance. They don't operate on superstition. They operate on data. They track vampires using thermal imaging to spot their cold bodies. They monitor their digital footprints, and they coordinate lightning-fast raids on their havens. A vampire can be a master of stealth and manipulation, but how do you hide from a drone circling overhead? How do you maintain secrecy when every mortal carries a high-definition camera in their pocket? This time, vampires can't just hide behind myths and legends. Their ancient weaknesses, fire and sunlight, are now joined by a new one: information. So who exactly are these modern hunters? The Second Inquisition is not one single, monolithic organization. It's a shadowy network of different groups, all with the same objective. It includes factions within real-world intelligence agencies like the CIA and NSA, who use their vast resources to track supernatural threats. You have military special forces units trained specifically to combat non-human targets. There are also secretive religious orders, modern-day Templars who have carried on the crusade from the Middle Ages, now armed with advanced weaponry alongside their ancient faith. And then there are the private Black Ops corporations, funded by powerful individuals who know the truth and are willing to pay any price to see the night reclaimed. They don't hold press conferences or announce their victories. They simply erase vampire nests from the map, burn their havens to the ground, and make powerful elders disappear without a single witness. For the average vampire, the Second Inquisition is an invisible, ever-present threat. It's the sudden blackout, the unexplained raid, the final, silent death. It's no exaggeration to say that modern vampires fear the Second Inquisition more than they fear their rival clans or even their own elders. And here's why. First, sheer numbers. Humanity outnumbers the kindred by an astronomical margin. Second, adaptability. While vampires are bound by tradition and ancient rivalries, human technology evolves at an exponential rate. A vampire might take a decade to learn a new discipline. Humanity develops a new surveillance system in a matter of months. Finally, and most importantly, humans are not bound by the same weaknesses. They operate in the daylight. They don't feel the gnawing hunger for blood. A vampire might be immortal, but a hellfire missile doesn't care about your age or your bloodline. The Second Inquisition represents a terrifying paradigm shift for the kindred. It proves that they are no longer the apex predators of the food chain. They are the hunted, and their eternal unlife has never been more precarious. If the Second Inquisition is a nightmare for the Camarilla, it's an apocalypse for the Sabbat. The Sabbat, with their rejection of the Masquerade and their philosophy of open war against humanity, have always been reckless. Their tactics mass embraces public displays of violence, and open control of mortal communities made them shockingly easy targets for intelligence agencies. They were basically painting a giant bullseye on their own backs. While the Camarilla was scrambling to erase its digital footprint, the Sabbat was live-streaming its own atrocities. Entire Sabbat-controlled cities in the Middle East and Mexico have reportedly been wiped off the map. Not by rival vampires, but by coordinated military strikes. The hunters didn't even need to do much digging. The Sabbat provided all the evidence they needed. For the first time, the Sabbat's sheer brutality and disdain for secrecy became their greatest weakness, and the Second Inquisition has exploited it to devastating effect. For centuries, vampires held a deep-seated belief that they were the secret masters of humanity, pulling the strings from the shadows. But the rise of the Inquisition reveals the final, chilling irony of their existence. The real monsters were never just the creatures of the night. They were also the humans who learned how to fight back, who turned their fear into organized technological fury. In the end, the night doesn't belong to the vampires. It doesn't belong to the hunters either. In the world of darkness, the night belongs to no one forever. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to More Vampires for more deep dives into vampire lore, horror, and the eternal war between monsters and mankind.